Two. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this new episode of Open Book Entrepreneur. I'm thrilled that we have Tracy Turner here with us today, all the way from Florida. And she's a multiple entrepreneur. She's been running her own businesses since the age of 19, and she's a psychic as well. So, Tracy, please introduce yourself to our audience.
Hi, I'm Tracy Turner. I'm East Coast, West Coast. So I was born in Connecticut, lived in California. Now I'm in Florida. I'm a psychic, which I see the past and the future. I'm a medium where I talk to people that have been passed over. And I'm also a medical intuitive. I go into your body and see issues.
Wow, fantastic. Excellent. And how long have you been doing this for?
I started professionally when I was 19. I was going through a divorce. I was a single parent of a baby, and I knew I had this gift, and I had a contract and a moment with my higher power called God. And we went into a contract, and he asked me if I wanted to do it. And I said, yes. He said, this will be for a lifetime. And I said, I'm ready.
Wow, and how someone actually finds out about this kind of gift?
So I've never advertised in all my years. I retain my clients because what I do is real. And my clients also have shared me mouth to mouth.
Yeah.
Um, I have always, donated to community. In the earlier days, I used to travel and rent the ballrooms and speak on topics. But my client source is all word of mouth.
Excellent. And something that you mentioned there, like you can go into people's bodies and see their issues, challenges, or their pains and stuff. And then do you can you just tell us a little bit more about that? Our audience is not really familiar with this. So can you just explain us this a little bit more, please?
Yeah, well, when I do a reading, I actually say a prayer and I exit my body and I can go into the person's soul. I go into heaven all the time. I talk with my source I call God. We sit on a billboard, we look at your life, we go into the book of your life. I'm allowed to go into your body. I see the illness, I feel your pain, I feel your emotions. I then am able to talk to those that have passed over and connect. I do a lot of grief work where I connect those on the other side with those here. I do a lot of healing of trauma. I do a lot of business um, counseling. I've got clients that have been with me for 40 years that used to be employees of companies. Now they're the CEOs of those companies. I used to have a lady that would travel from Japan. I don't know how she found me with an interpreter. She would go to California. She would just have a reading with me and then go home. And the interpreter, I don't even know how they found me because we didn't have an internet. Someone must have shared her with me. She would just come for business and then get on a plane, a private jet, and then go back to Japan.
Amazing. Yeah. I mean, I heard the, number of sort of really rich people are telling me, for example, they're following certain signs in their life to actually achieve big success and stuff. So can you tell us a little bit more about in business specifically, because we talk a lot here about entrepreneurship. So can you tell us a little bit more about what kind of results people can expect when they're working with you in terms of business?
Yes. So I believe in manifestation and intention, number one. I also teach my clients to write a letter to their higher power. I teach my clients to find clarity in, are they going to be a doer? Are they going to be a dreamer? I teach my clients to find their strengths and capitalize on that. Wherever their weaknesses are, that's where you hire someone because it's going to be their strength. You need to always live in your purpose. You always need to live in your passion. You have to separate and become clear about what it is you're willing to give up and give into As an entrepreneur, you don't work that job or that career 8 hours a day. It's your breath. If it's not your breath, then you're not an entrepreneur. If it's not your passion, you're definitely not an entrepreneur. And the first thing I ask people, and I do a live on Wednesdays, and there's a difference. People know me. They'll say, when am I going to get another job? When am I going to quit my job? That's a job, 40 hours a week. The entrepreneur says, I'd like to switch my career and go into my own business. Now you're an entrepreneur because it's your career, not your job.
Exactly. And something there you mentioned as well. You actually help people to realize if they're doer or they're dreamer. I mean, tell us a little bit more about that. That sounds very interesting. Yeah.
So a dreamer would say, I wish I could, or maybe someday, or I always wanted. That's a dreamer. A doer says, I started this thing, it was my hobby, and it gave me so much joy. And people asked me if I would share that hobby, and they were willing to give me a gift, which is money for that gift that I gave them. And I put so much of my soul into what I was doing, whether it's a tangible item or a service. That's a doer. And that person says, I'm going to give up a part of my social life or this or that so I can concentrate. And someday I want to do this always full time.
Yeah. I
That's a
mean,
doer.
it's so funny when you talk about this. I just actually recognize myself a little bit in this because when I was searching for myself to actually find way to get out of the problem that I was facing in my life when I lost my business and lost everything that I ever had, and ended up big time in debt. I was looking and searching for the solutions for myself, and I literally like found out about this neuro-linguistic programming, and I started training as a coach and a master coach and stuff. And as I was doing this, as I was actually trying to help myself, when I was doing all the exercises with all these other people that were actually working to become coaches, the changes they were going through, I could feel them, and they were just telling me, hey Tony, that was so amazing, can you be my coach after we finish this? So they pulled me in. Yeah.
So also, there's faith and there's fear. There's faith and there's failure. If you're an entrepreneur, you never live in failure. You may have lost a business, you may have lost all your money, but you didn't lose your soul. And you gained a story of who you are to then coach other people. And that's not a failure. It just maybe wasn't the right time, or the economy shifted, or something happened, but you learned so much from that. No one can take that power away from you, and nobody should. You just shift into something else. That is an entrepreneur.
Totally, totally. At that time, it really felt like a big failure. I can tell you that, and it really dragged with me. But then it built me to who I am today. And I mean, so how do you help your clients in those kind of
So I
situations?
teach people that we all come into this world with lessons. You learned a lesson, but that wasn't your purpose. Your purpose is to guide people and mentor them and work with the world, whether you have a service or a tangible gift. That's your purpose. There's a difference. We all go through lessons. I've gone through lessons. I'm not exempt. Mine are the hardest. Those that are so good at what they do have a storyline in their past and in their future that could write so many books, but that allows us to find our purpose. Look at any millionaire. I always look at the guy Damien that started Fubu. He lived in his car, and then he decided, what should I do? I'm going to sell t-shirts. That's his story. But when he was living in it, he felt like a failure. He couldn't afford probably to get beef jerky,
Hmm.
but he never gave up. Also, I teach my clients, find someone's story that you want to emulate, that they're your hero because of how hard their life was. You, as an entrepreneur, when we're self-employed, we have a legacy to leave. We've got
Hmm.
something to leave the earth. Make your story for somebody else. That's what you're doing, Tony, when you became someone's mentor.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So on top of that, like if someone actually wants to find out a little bit more about you and stuff, how they can do that?
Well, I have a website, Tracy, Tracy dash Turner.com. And they go there, they read my reviews. That's another thing. Reviews are really important when you're an entrepreneur, and you don't mess with them. Whatever people say goes up there, the good, bad, or the indifferent. My website's there. They can book there. I do half-hour and hour sessions. I'll also come out and talk to your company, no matter how big or how small, as a motivational speaker. But they can find me there, or in there they can, DM me. I also do a live on Wednesday nights, not all, but some Wednesday nights on Instagram. There they find me as Tracy Turner Psychic Medium. And I allow them to jump on and ask a free question from 7 to 8.
Nice, nice. And then can you share with us also what are some of the best results that your clients have achieved?
Found.
Yeah.
Again, there are two women that started with me separately. Everything always threads together. About 35, 40 years ago, they soon became partners in business. And now one's the CFO, one's the CEO. Again, that lady from Japan, I have dealt in my life and I don't talk about it. I lived in San Diego. I've worked with so many entertainers and professional sports people that are Hall of Famers,
Wow.
whether it's basketball, whether it's football, whether they're musicians. I've walked them through addiction and grief to then allow their passion to overshadow their traumas and to unlock their potentials. I don't do it. You do it, but we have fun doing it. And I think that's also it. There's crying, there's laughter, there's work. And every time I see a client, it's individualized. So I don't have a book. I don't give you a certification, even when I mentor somebody in what I do. So it's always one-on-one. And remember, higher sources who works through people, not me. It's my
Yes.
mouth working.
And then on top of that, like before we complete this very interesting and amazing episode, I would just like to ask you also as well if there's any question that I didn't ask you, maybe some tip, anything else that you want to share with our audience, what would that be?
The last thing that I would, there's two things I want to share. When I was younger, I manifested a wait list. So people would call me. This was me at 19. And they'd say, I'd have no clients. They'd say, I'd like to come and see you. Can I see you today? Can I see you tomorrow? I'd say, let me put you on hold. Let me look at my list. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't have an opening for 3 months. They'd like, what? And I go, but if I have a cancellation, I'll call you. People want what they can't have. And then I would leave their name there. And about 3 days later, I would call them and say, I just got a cancellation for tomorrow at noon. Can you make it? Well, wait, I'll move my calendar around. Yes, I can. People want what they can't have. When you say that you are bigger than life, they believe it until you've got to prove it. But that's confidence. The other thing I want to leave you with is the 3 P's that I believe in. There's passion, there's placement, and there's persistence. If you're going to be an entrepreneur, you've got to have the passion. And the placement is putting yourself where you need to be in front of your audience, knowing your audience. Like you said, when times are tough, what do? I know my audience enough to know that I go out and I give freely of my service. That's placement. Got it?
Yes.
And then persistence and perseverance is, I can have a bad day tomorrow and life could be slow, but I know that God is giving me that space to market myself in whatever old-fashioned ways I know how. And that's my persistence in never giving up.
Wow.
So that's truly an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Your downtime isn't poor me. And an entrepreneur can never be a victim.
Wonderful, wonderful. Tracy, thank you so much for this unbelievable, amazing tips that you shared with us today. And then also, thank you all for watching and listening to this episode. If you like it, drop us a like and subscribe, and also comment below as well. And yeah, see you all in the next episode. All the best, and bye bye.
Blessings. Bye bye.